Well, Spurs will have to go marching on because the big break in football news overnight, an emotional Son Heung-Min opening a press conference in Seoul by announcing his plans to leave Tottenham. The club captain says he's achieved everything he could in North London but didn't say where he'll be going next. Chris Cowlin is a YouTube host of the Spurs Chat podcast and the Tottenham News channel and joins us now. Chris, I believe, are you actually out in Korea right now?
Yes, good afternoon from Seoul, South Korea, yes.
Oh, Chris, so were you at the press conference then, and just how emotional was that for you after a remarkable 10 years of service from Son Heung-Min?
Yeah, when the news broke, I was actually going up to Seoul Tower, and it's quite emotional. It's quite an emotional day for the Spurs fans. It's a sad day for the Spurs fans, for the player, for the club, for the fans. A lot of people expected this news, but deep down it is probably the right decision. From Heung-Min Son to move on. He has delivered that Europa League trophy for us as captain, and he will go down as a club legend. But yeah, there are a lot of emotional fans today, certainly in South Korea. And it's just wonderful that he has finished his Spurs career having lifted that trophy in Bilbao against Manchester United, winning the Europa League, because he's had a great 10 years at Tottenham. We've got some great memories of him, on and off the pitch. He's always had a smile on his face, such a humble and such a nice guy. And, I've met him many times, and he's one of the nicest people you'd ever meet.
You hear that all the time, that he's such a brilliant fella, and that's what surprises me, Chris, that he's leaving the club, because you say there that it was kind of expected, but at the same time he is the club captain, he is the gel in the dressing room, there's a new manager coming in. You think it would have been helpful to keep him for another season, or do you genuinely believe that this is actually the right time to go?
It was definitely on the decline last season. He didn't deliver nowhere near what he's delivered in the previous 9 seasons. And, the players come out himself and said it was a tough decision. I've absolutely no doubt about that. He absolutely loves and adores the football club. But as Thomas Frank said, to have that send-off in his home country, South Korea now, it is Son mania here in South Korea. You see pictures of him everywhere, and I've been to previous tours in South Korea, and he is an absolute superstar. I'm on the way to the training session shortly, and of course seeing the game against Newcastle tomorrow. And the reaction when people see Son is unreal, and I'm just wondering how that can be topped, but I'm sure it will be today at the training session. But in answer to your question about, keeping him in the dressing room, of course, he is a very experienced player. He's been there, done it. He's got the T-shirt. And, me personally, I would love to have seen him at the football club for another season. But, like he said in the press conference, he needs a fresh challenge. And, it's a new era under Thomas Frank now. So it's what Spurs do in the transfer window now to, bring the next superstar in. But as I said, it's a sad and emotional day. He's my favourite ever all-time Spurs player, so he's part of the furniture, and it'll be really, really weird not to see him or Harry Kane now in this team. But 2 years ago, Postecoglou lost Harry Kane before the season started, and now Thomas Frank has got to lose, our best player before the start of the next Premier League campaign.
Chris, I don't believe for a second you'll have a more than Steve Archibald, but that's a debate for another day. I wanted to say that to you. I think most neutral fans will appreciate and respect what he's done in the Premier League in the last 10 years. There are so many memorable moments, and when he's running at full tilt with the ball at his feet, it's just so special, isn't it? But is there one moment, I'm thinking of that incredible goal when he passed about 7 players, didn't he, on the way to score, but what's the one that stands out for you?
Gordon, I can't give you one. I'm going to give you a couple if I've got time to do so.
Go for it.
The solo goal, the wonderful run against Burnley, where he won the Puskas Award in 2019. The goals against Arsenal he scored, sensational. We always know that he can put one in the top corner, and he's done that against Arsenal a couple of times. The solo run against Chelsea at Wembley. The goals against Manchester City in the lead up to us getting into the Champions League final in 2019. A wonder goal against West Ham at Wembley Stadium. Of course, won the Golden Boot in the 21-22 season. I tell you, there are so many wonderful memories. And like you said there about fellow, Premier League fans, it doesn't matter what team you support. I feel like Heung-Min Son will be really missed in the Premier League because he has been one of the greatest players in the last 10 years to grace the Premier League. And, all of the opposition fans love to see a quality player playing in a side like Tottenham as well.
Such a likeable man. Now, I've got to ask you about replacements. You know, Spurs have actually been pretty busy in the transfer market, which must be driving Ange Postecoglou daft. But a few quid has been spent, but who would be a suitable replacement for Sonny?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know whether they will actually go out and spend money on a replacement. You know, even in the press conference today, Thomas Frank said we've got a number of players that can play there, Tell Johnson and Odebear. So one of those may have to, fit in. But Spurs do need to show real intent in this transfer window, because Daniel Levy and Thomas Frank, they've been very aligned in what they've said, that they want to go all out and win the Premier League and the Champions League at some point. And, we've got Champions League football this coming season. So we do need a very, very decent and strong squad, going into that Champions League campaign. So Spurs need to do a lot in the next 30 odd days in this transfer window. I'd love to see players like Eze from Crystal Palace come in. I've got a whole list of players, but is it realistic? I just hope that the Spurs hierarchy, do the right thing and really back Thomas Frank, and so we can have a really good season.
Chris, I had a little moment this week where I predicted that Spurs would finish 5th, purely based on Thomas Frank and just how wonderful I think he is as a manager. But give me a number. Where do you think you'll finish in the league this season?
I think, and I'm sorry to sit on the fence here, I think it's quite impossible to say that until the transfer window is closed, because I'm personally hoping that Spurs do get a number of really good Premier League experience additions in this window. It looks like João Palhinha is going to sign on a loan deal as well from Bayern Munich. I feel like that is the number 6 that we have been crying out for. But, 17th last season in the Premier League, it wasn't good enough. I do expect a much better finish. And also, if we've got time, let's talk a little bit about the win against Arsenal in Hong Kong that I was at a couple of days ago, because every Arsenal fan expected, them to absolutely batter Spurs, given that they've had a really good window. And Spurs were excellent under, Thomas Frank, got the team playing extremely well defensively and attacking. Very threatening. So it was a really good performance the other night, beating North London rivals in Hong Kong.
Good man, Chris. Well, thank you so much, and I appreciate that little mention of your North London rivals. I hope Jeanette was enjoying that as well as an Arsenal fan. Well done. She's listening.
I've got my ears all over it, Chris, actually. Thanks for coming on.
Excellent stuff. Chris Cowlin, all the best. Enjoy the rest of your tour. That is Chris Cowlin there, host of the YouTube show Spurs Chat podcast and the Tottenham News Channel. It's now 8:18.
In Destination X, 13 players